How you doing, YouTube? Matt Nassa Beer Reviews back with a little bit of Homebrew Wednesday in the form of Hoppy Dark Ale. Courtesy of my boy Marc. I believe it's Marc and Kevin, right? Both of you guys brewed this sucker? Anyway, I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm horrible at remembering things, but I have an email up here because he sent me this package off. He sent me an email about what the beers were, but I missed it. And when I did the unboxing, I just was like, oh, okay. Dark ale, light ale. Here we go. This is what he would describe as a Hoppy Dark Cascadian Dark Ale. Columbus, Simcoe, and Chinook, British ale yeast, dry hopped Simcoe. Midnight wheat, dehusked Kafara 2, and a touch of crystal rye malt on the base of Maris Otter. So a lot of Maris Otter in there, I would assume. Especially grains provide some roasty elements without stepping over the hops or becoming overly harsh. The beer is 5.9%. Let's dive into this sucker. See what's what. It's snowstorm time. We're getting 2 feet of snow. That means I drink beer. Here we go. So yeah, Cascadian Dark Ale, Hoppy, IPA, Dark IPA. Yeah, we'll see what's what. A lot of Maris Otter in this. A lot of hops. I wonder if those come off like American Barley Wine Light. Because there are old school hops in there too. We'll see what's what. I poured that like a maniac, but it ended up with a pretty beautiful head on it. You know, malted malt bone color, tight, compact head with this rich, dark core to it. It's light to be found in it. It's not motor oil, but it'd be dark. Let's get a nose. It's a lot of roasty components in there. Very mild, nothing over the top, but it's a subtle, like almost like the kind of roast you expect off like Schwarzbier, something along that level. So a little bit of roasty malt, a little bit of toastiness, maybe even a hint of kind of a coffee kind of vibe in there. But again, very, very minimal. With a little bit of a greeny catty thing, and I think that's just a Simcoe coming through. I like it. It's very subtle. The notes on here, the nose isn't gigantic. It's very subtle, but you tell you're drinking something. Think Schwarzbier hopped with Simcoe. Honestly, that's kind of where it's coming off for me. If that makes sense in your brain, that little bit of cattiness, that greenness, cattiness you typically use kind of old school hops, as they did here with your Chinook and Columbus and stuff like that. But I think that Simcoe's probably the most dominant part of it, especially it getting a second edition in the dry hopping phase. So I just want to dive in. Cheers. That's exactly what it is. This is a Simcoe hopped Schwarzbier is exactly what I'm drinking right now. So there's a nice soft creaminess to it. It's very nice. It's very, very much opposite of the way the hops show themselves here. Sometimes that can come off as a contrast, but when you're talking about a hoppy dark ale, I don't know, something about that contrast kind of makes it work for me. So yeah, super creamy mouthfeel. Follows through. Gives this nice soft, not overly aggressive kind of roasted maltiness. Very much like I said, Schwarzbiersy in its kind of core. With the soft chocolate malts, a little bit of roastiness that kind of pricks the edge of a little bit of kind of coffee vibes. Done and done. Then you get on the other side of things. You get this kind of base bitterness, but it definitely kind of ekes out into this green, slightly catty kind of Simcoe thing. Then I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. Has me tickled fucking pink because Simcoe has been so kind of beaten. That cattiness has been beaten out of Simcoe. Essentially, like people kind of, you know, I don't know if it's from hop growers or the way the brewers are using it or a combination of the two. Rarely do I get a big Simcoe beer and I get that cattiness. I like that. I like that. I've missed that. And while, again, it's not a 2x4 to the face here, you're getting it in a meaningful way in a very low ABV, very soft kind of beer that I think adds a really cool dollop, a really cool twist. What did the kids say today? A really nice chef's kiss on top of a nice, rich, creamy kind of dark ale. So yeah, I mean, if I'm going to sit here and talk about this beer, I'm going to go back to exactly what I said from the get, which is a Simcoe-based Schwarzbier. I know it kind of sounds like blasphemy, especially for your BJCP nerds out there, but I think it works in this beer and works really nice. I like this, dude. I could see a lot of people not liking this. You know what I mean? Because of that Simcoe edition in this darker beer. But it works for me, man. Because if you drop that out, you end up with basically a Schwarzbier. Because you get that bittering without that kind of sweet kind of Simcoe kind of twist on the end of it. And I think it would still be a really tasty beer, but this brings just a little added element to it. And I'm going to say this as far as like my favorite part of this beer, it's not necessarily the Simcoe. It's not necessarily the beer as a whole. It's the balance between the hops and the malts, because it's a relatively soft beer as far as the malts go. There's nothing too overly sweet, nothing too overly aggressive. I could see getting really easily heavy-handed, or the opposite, coming in a little bit too less on the hop kind of addition here, especially in the dry end hopping end of things, to the point where it would go be a little bit too much, a little bit too little. And I think there's a really perfect balance in here. So if I'm going to really kind of hang my hat on my favorite thing about this beer, it's going to be the balance of the hops with the malts, and with that Simcoe twist being a very, very close second. So I think this is really tasty. This is the kind of beer I give to, a Haze-Brew or, Hop Thought, and I think they go, oh, okay, whatever, it's Homebrew, fine. But if I give it to somebody that appreciates, kind of, more not new school beer, fun beers, interesting beers, I think they're quite taken with it, and I think that's a pretty good compliment, if I say so myself. So there you go. Homebrew in the books, man. We don't rate them. We don't do whatever. We drink them. I speak my mind. If they were crap, I would say it. I'm just not blowing smoke, because that serves nobody for me to just be like, yeah, this is really good, and lie, because that would be dumb. Anyway, there you go. Little homebrew in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you'd like the homebrew reviews and you have homebrew, send them. Give them to me. I can't promise I say nice things, because that's not what I do, but if they're tasty, I'm going to say it. So there you go. Down there, if you want to talk about it, Massive Beers. If you want to check me out doing the social media stuff, Beer Massive. If you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a little homebrew right now. Hope to see you next time. Cheers.